And we're live. Welcome back to another high vibe conversation. I'm your host, Shel Shapiro. With me, as always, are the amazing, wonderful high vibe women that come and join us every week to have these high vibe conversations. Today, we are talking about beginning where you are. And this is definitely a conversation for you if you feel like things are going crazy in your life, everything around you is out of control, or that you don't have control of as much as you want control over. This is a gentle reminder for you to just start with what you know, start with what's in front of you, and literally begin where you are. This happens regularly in my life where like things are going a little bit off plan and not according to schedule, and we just have to like roll with the punches, right? I, as somebody who is used to planning everything, I am now getting used to the idea of like having a loose plan in place and just going more with the flow and like letting things happen as they happen, because we can't control everything, right? So I love this topic for today because we've all experienced some chaos and overwhelm when things go awry. So I'd love to direct the conversation over to Jenny first and make my way around. What comes up for you when you think of beginning where you are?
Actually, firstly, I think of coaching my clients, and for me to be a true support to them and to walk beside them along their journey, I get to listen to recognize where they are on their journey so that I do not speak to a sense of understanding or awareness that they will maybe come to in a couple of steps, that I will actually recognize where they are on their journey. And that's just how you find one another to walk together. And it's just the same leading myself, that I get to listen and recognize where I am at the moment so that I'm not stuck in the ideal of what I think, where I think I should be, what I think it should look like, and accept myself fully in this moment and go from there. And it's enough. For me, it's really all like the joy comes when I recognize that it's all about the journey. It's all about the discovery that I'm making in this moment, wherever that is. So, yeah. Thank you, Shel.
Well, watching you go through this journey live every week, and even behind the scenes, uh, it it is a beautiful thing to see you acknowledge where you are in that present moment. Um, no matter what else may be going on around you or internally, you have just given yourself grace and space to just be whatever it is that you feel like you want to be and need to be in that moment. And so I really appreciate watching that from week to week and seeing how you um, grow and evolve for yourself and for your clients and for those around you, also for your kids, and recognizing when they are needing something and where they're at, and being able to balance that and counteract their needs in a different way that is separate from your own. We've talked a lot about knowing where someone else ends and you begin, where you begin and somebody else ends, whichever way you want to look at it. And I know this is something that you work on with your clients all the time. Um, do you want to speak a little bit more to what that looks like on a daily basis with your kids, besides the work that you do with your clients?
Sure. You're thinking of recognizing where I end and where they begin? Yes. Well, it's very much honesty on their level as of what mama also needs right now. This is what I'm going through. This is what it looks like for me. And I've been parenting out of guilt. Like I've been through really curling and adapting not just to a partner but also to my kids. So for me, beginning where I am is letting them know, like this is how mama is feeling right now. And it's really beautiful, and I think that's the example that they will listen to, and that's going to help them also respect themselves and their needs, that it's okay. Wherever they are, there's acceptance because they know mama accepts herself, so they get to accept themselves as well. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Jenny. Um, as I hear you talk about accepting yourself and allowing your kids to see that, and them getting to like observe, and by way of seeing it through you, they learn to love and accept themselves too. I wanna bring that over to Linda now. As we think of like what going on working with you on my book and my journey. We definitely went through a process to help me learn to love myself again, right? And accept myself. So, Linda, when you work with your clients, and even in your day-to-day, your personal life, how do you go about beginning where you are and helping your clients to do the same?
For me, the word noticing comes up. So if I'm like emotionally charged, it's like identifying what that is. Is it anger, is it frustration? And then where is that coming from? So that kind of coaching self and drilling down deeper and deeper and deeper. In my human design, frustration is like my max because I'm a manifesting generator. The manifestors, it's anger. And so my go-to, or whatever the word is, Dina can explain this so much better than I can, is like I'm in the hospital if I'm frustrated, right? And so if I'm working up to getting frustrated, I have a cold, I don't need the doctor yet, but there's this line, and if I'm frustrated, that's like a max to me. So if I all of a sudden am angry, it's like, wow, like I'm so over my line. And why? Like, where did that come from? And almost always it has to do with food and my food sensitivities. And so if I've had something that is, gonna throw my system off, my system will like get to boom, like a higher level a lot quicker. Does that make sense?
Struggling to unmute here. Yeah, it definitely does. So knowing that with your food sensitivities, it may cause you to reach that frustration level or even anger level that much quicker, or prevent it. Are there certain things that you keep an eye out for as like warning signs that like you might be on the way to reaching that level, and or drilling right past it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, both my husband and I have more like a toxic liver from, inherited whatever. So for me to have, like, I have to be very, very careful what I even have. Like, it's got to be like a white wine and very low salicylates. And even then, the next day I can trigger easier. And chocolate liqueur is like deadly. It is, ugh, that one is so bad. And we were hungry. We were leaving the grocery store and we quick grabbed a bar. and didn't realize, like, we'd had it before, so I just didn't put two and two together that had any chocolate liqueur. And not only was I really angry today, I actually had 3 bloody noses. So it doesn't serve my body well at all. So anything that kind of clunks up the liver is like a big thing for me to avoid, and things that help to detox it are things for me to be attracted to. I also watch my foods according to my blood type. So I'm blood type B. So there's things that are like a big no for me, like chicken. And I didn't even realize that beef it's in the neutral. Does not serve me well at all. So I'm gonna be switching from that too. And my husband's type A, so beef is like big no, and Stina and Foy helped with that one. So yeah, it was just real foggy and didn't even realize it. And he's, been a red meat kind of guy all his life. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I feel like that's a whole other going down like the food map of what we
yeah.
can and can't eat for our.
Don't get me going on my kids, because that was what my kids were really dealing with. My son on red dye foods, like just 0 to 100 in a heartbeat.
That might have to be a discussion for a later day to talk about all the things that can happen to our bodies and our minds when we eat the wrong foods that don't agree with us. But you said something about fogginess. And so this is a good segue for me to lead into Stina. So Stina, we've talked about this in the past where as high performers, we always feel like we need to be giving our A-level work. And some days, and this could go beyond fogginess too, some days we're just not feeling our best, right? And that could look like brain fog or just like having a lower energy level, whatever that looks like for you, that you're like, I just, that's not going to be me today. And we've talked about how to perform at a lower level and be okay with it. So is that something that you feel like you can speak a little bit more to, or feel free to pivot the conversation in a different direction when it comes to beginning where you are?
Well, I first was just going to say, really, I will come back to your question, but the frustration of a generator, if someone's experiencing this, it's like the generator goes and goes and goes. So it's literally like being in a vehicle, like having an engine, and you're stuck in like against a wall and you're just flooring it and you're going nowhere. Like that's the frustration, is like, I'm putting all of my energy into this and nothing is happening. And I currently have a little manifester, one of my kids here, that is angry with their sibling. And I can just feel it's a much sharper energy. Like anger is this kind of like sharp distaste, for something. And so that's, anyways, just to kind of compare those two, because Linda had mentioned it. So yeah, so operating at a lower level. I've been thinking a lot about this because my hormonal cycle makes it really challenging for me to have every day look exactly the same as every other day. And I don't get a consistent level of productivity out of myself. And I think that we have this culture and this kind of structure to work where we expect to be able to perform, an 8-hour work day every day without fail, and have this expectation of what that should look like. And I think that it's actually worse for moms who were never like stay-at-home moms, because that's my experience, was I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't in corporate early on. And as a stay-at-home mom, your job follows you every minute of every day. And I think that some corporate jobs have become that now that we can be reached on our cell phones all the time, and, email and messaging and all of that. But It just bleeds into everything, and there's always something demanded of you, and you're constantly like scanning the house for what needs to be done, what needs to be cleaned, what needs to be cooked, what needs to be taken care of, just like over and over again. What needs to be cleaned, what needs to be cooked, who needs to be taken care of, what needs to be cleaned, what needs to be cooked, who needs to be taken care of. I feel like that is like the mantra of like my brain as a stay-at-home mom, and it doesn't stop. And so that's why it's really hard to take care of yourself when you have kids, because your brain is wired for those caretaking tasks. And so when you shift into entrepreneurship, it feels like your job should feel that way. It feels like that's just the way work is. So my brain now has this kind of programming of constantly looking for things to do, constantly looking for what needs my attention, constantly feeling like I need to be busy and producing and finishing things and checking them off the list. And that's like completely unsustainable. And so when I have less energy, I have to do less things. Like it's just, that's the way it is. And honestly, that's the way, that's one of the reasons a lot of us become entrepreneurs, not to do less, but to do more on the days when we feel that we have the capacity to do more, to do a little less on the days we can do less, to have a little more flexibility. And so I've had to remind myself of that, if I don't have a quote unquote regular job. I don't have a 9-to-5 job, because that doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for my lifestyle or my health. And so I'm really fortunate to be able to work in a way that allows me to go back to bed for 2 hours, because I woke up and I felt like I'm not going to be functional until I get more sleep, period, the end. And some of that's due to like my PCOS, some of that's like mental health drain, and like things that have continuously gotten better because I'm intentionally working on these things. But having that patience and like being gentle with yourself when your energy is a little bit lower, I think is really important, because we're humans. We're just animals. Like, we're not machines. We're not robots. And it's not like if I put X amount in, I can get X amount out of my body. If I sleep, I might sleep 8 hours and still be exhausted. I might sleep 4 hours and feel amazing the next day. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So I've just, really been working on that, like being gentle with myself, being understanding, making changes, adjusting things like how I promise delivery of work, so that I have the flexibility to move things around a little bit, because most people don't care if I tell them it's going to be Wednesday or Friday before I have their copy back to them. Like, most people aren't under a tight like 2-day deadline and they're on the edge of their seats. Where's my copy right now? So I just say Friday. And then if it's Wednesday when I get it back to them, amazing, wonderful. If it's Friday, great. I still, met the expectation that I set. And I think that a lot of that comes from people pleasing and, feeling like everything is urgent and expecting to just like squeeze every drop of productivity humanly possible out of your body. And I just don't think that we're designed to do that, or at least a lot of us aren't. And I think we can each say, this is what works for me and this is what works for me today.
So, Stina, it's like we're talking about doing B work or C work, right? And I remember a time in my life when I was so focused on doing A work. It had to be perfect. And I remember a conversation with Linda where she was like, you got to do B work. Stina does B work. So I remember that very clearly. And then it was this moment of me cleaning my apartment. And it just struck me that I've been so focused on doing A work, getting to perfection, and that just never ends because there's no such thing as perfect. I don't know why we have a word for it. So what happened was that I was zooming in on this area and it just never ended. There was another spot, there was another spot, there was another spot that I felt like I had to get to. And doing B work is, or C work, or like meeting yourself where you are, is about zooming out and giving yourself a break to see the bigger picture. And I realized that my A work was like out of this world. I'm not sure people would even appreciate that. I'm not sure I would appreciate it the next day. So meeting yourself where you are is like giving yourself that break to take a few steps back and see the bigger picture and enjoy that. Right?
That it's so true. Because remember, like your A work, your A plus work, even your B work is probably somebody else's. Like they can't even comprehend that because their C and D level work is what you're giving as your, like it just doesn't equate. I know it's coming out backwards right now, but like you're when you perform at what you think is a lower level, that's somebody else's A work right there. That's the best that somebody else can give. And you don't have to be perfect all the time, if at all, ever, because like you said, that's not attainable. You also shouldn't even try to be, because your energy level, as Stina was talking about, is going to be different every day. Your output is going to be different every day. Your mood, the things around you, the things that are out of your control are going to be different every day. And that's going to affect the way that you can produce and get things done and knock them out. And you don't need to get everything done. Stina was also talking about like how if she promises something for Friday, knowing that she'll probably get it done by Wednesday anyway. Okay, what if something happens and you actually don't get it done by Friday and it's not done till Saturday or Monday? That's okay too, because life happens and we're not machines that can just perform and crank things out all the time. So beginning where you are, it reminds me that like we can hold space for ourselves and just do the best we can with whatever we're going through at that particular time. It's going to look different on different days, and that's totally okay. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow we can do better. Tomorrow we might feel better. Tomorrow we might feel worse. And it's really just noticing, as Linda said, those differences in our body, in our surroundings, and what we're capable of. So yeah, thank you. Jenny, do you have more that you want to add to that?
Yes, like Jenny's feeling inspired. So days when I am not, 100%, that is such a gift. That's just what I wanted to add. It's such a gift to the people around me that they get to compliment me. This is where we get to, be a team at work, when I allow other people to step in and bring that other 20% or 30%. So just reframing that not being 100% is a gift to the people around me. And I just love being there for my colleagues or my family when they're at that point. So,
which comes from learning to receive too, which was a learning curve, right? Yeah.
I was just going to add along the theme of beginning as well, that when your standard is even sometimes B level work, this is outside of business. Like if your standard for yourself is, I have to be at an A level, a B level, a whatever level, that you have this expectation, you may never start something, especially something new or unfamiliar. And I have been, you can see behind me, I've set up this little art center in my dining room because I miss art. And I started this painting. You can see a little bit of it up here. And I don't think it's very good. Like I did it and I was like, this turned out awkwardly and I don't think it's finished. But like, I loved getting my hands messy in the paint, and I loved feeling the brush on the canvas, and like just doing it felt really good. And I reminded myself that there's times when it just doesn't matter how good it is at all, and that it's actually important to do things really badly. Like, it's really important to make bad art, and it's really important to just do things for the sheer joy of the experience, because the joy is more valuable than any, performance that you could put out there, or like the end product per se. So that's another thing that has helped me to just relax a little and remember that not everything even has to be measured. It can just be in that moment and see where it goes. Do I want, like, that's like entrepreneur syndrome, I think, where you're like, every hobby has to be monetized, or I have to be great at it, or it has to be valuable to someone else. Maybe I'll never sell a painting in my life. Maybe I'll have so much fun doing it and it will be contagious, and other people will offer to pay me for something that I made. I have no idea, but I'm going into it with just valuing, doing it and getting started. And, that can be that way with any kind of writing, making music, dancing, painting. Like, just do what lights you up, because you can.
I want to add to that by saying that, like, sometimes that's necessary to just do the things that like feel good to get yourself out of a funk, especially if you're feeling in those moments when you're like, I just feel stuck. I don't know what to do next. Like, I'm so overwhelmed with all the things and feeling that pressure to get all the things and everything done, for not just for yourself, but for your clients, for your kids, for your family, for everyone. And in those moments, it's therapeutic and helpful to just take that step back and be like, all right, what can I do for fun right now to like reset and get out of that funk, and then see what creativity comes out and inspires you to keep moving forward. So I just wanted to add to that, because you don't have to be great at it, as Stina said. Like, you just have to do it. Do something that lights you up and like makes you feel that much better. And it could be for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, like however long it takes for you to feel like, okay, I'm re-energized. I feel like I can get back to this other thing now. And just make that a habit and a practice that feels good for you. Dorit, I want to shift gears over to you now, but I feel like you might have something going on the side over there, and I don't want to take away from that.
No, I'm here.
Okay. Well, as while we have your grandson on the side over there, what's coming up for you as we talk about beginning where you are? Especially for me, what's coming up in regards to your transformation journey and the things that I know that you've gone through and experienced, as somebody who's acts of service. That's your love language. Like, give to everybody else all the time. What does it feel like now when you pull back a little bit and don't give all of yourself to everyone all the time? Do you notice the difference when, as Jenny said, like, other people step up and give that 20% more to fill that gap? Or like, what goes on in your world?
First, I have to say I really resonated with what Jenny and Stina Marie was talking about with the A level work and the B level work and that kind of stuff. I was a straight A, pushed myself to the limit. Having the last boss I had, he really didn't help with the matter, because he would lay out little traps to check the quality of my work. So he would, for instance, I was cleaning a house for him, like beside the job, he was renting this out to some men that was on like separate schedules. So there were always like 4 guys living in this room, but they changed every Sunday. There was another group coming, and they were doing all like big electricity, power line kind of stuff. And yeah, anyway, he would do things like take a fistful of crisps and place it behind the sofa, or not shatter it out so it looked like, ooh, an accident. It was a neat little, a pile where crisps would not normally be found. This is, yeah, things like that. And in the pet shop, he would, for instance, take a bunch of leaves or twigs and put them underneath the dog cages. We had a whole room full of dog cages to check if I moved the cages or I just cleaned around them. So there were always these things in the back of my head. I have to do it, everything. I have to change, shift and move and do perfectly, because he has done something. He has, yeah. And I had that for 10 years. I had that boss, and that does something with your head. so when I hit rock bottom and I become ill, I don't think that helped, having that kind of a pressure on me. I really struggled accepting that I wasn't able to do the A work all the time anymore. I went into like a grieving process where I was grieving and depressed about the me that I had lost, that I now had to give less, and that went on for quite a while until I could accept that when I choose to do something, I would give it my all, but the rest will just be whatever it might be today. This is what I have. So I don't feel like I have to have a spotless house on Fridays like I did before. I don't feel I have to bake bread and make every meal from bottom up, because that was me before. But starting like the name of this live, Begin Where You Are, I feel that where that kind of hit me was when I was at my lowest and I didn't have anything. I had lost my old self, and I didn't know which way to go. So beginning where I was at that point with nothing, I didn't have a job. I couldn't do what I was trained to do, what I was good at. And I just had to begin where I was and learn new skills and find something where I could kind of fit in. And this might sound silly, but I felt that I didn't matter because I couldn't help anyone. And that's the act of service part of me, that I didn't feel that making dinner and unload the dishwasher was acts of service. That was just part of being a mom and being a wife, and yeah, that was just something I did. So I needed to find things to kind of give back and mean something, do something for others, that I could still keep my health and not have to go into hibernation for 2 days after doing something. Thankfully we got this little bundle of joy. My grandson, he's 4 years old now. He came along when I was starting my healing path, and I was able to take care of him. But when I had him, the days that I had him, he was my A work. He was my everything. And after he was gone home, I could take a nap. I didn't have to clean the kitchen or do anything like that. It was just care for me. So so yeah, I got to heal together with him, and now I have him for a sleepover till tomorrow, because daycare is having like a planning day tomorrow here in Norway. So he will be here with Fami and the pups. Yeah. Love it.
So Dora, real quick, with the love languages, it's about how you receive love. So were you out of balance then because you were doing all these acts of service for others? Who was doing acts of service for you? Do you feel that maybe getting out of balance with your love language, where you weren't getting, like your son, right? It wasn't about gifts. It was about spending time with you. So he wanted to receive spending time, not you, but just spending time with him. That's a thing for him, right?
Yeah.
So where was it in your scenario that you were even like allowing others to do acts of service for you? So it was just like this way out of balance love language of yours. Does that make sense? I just thought of that. It's like, oh wow, yeah.
It was like that. In the beginning, when John and I first got together, we had a lot more time, and he would be doing things like pouring a bath for me, having a glass of wine when I got home from a long day of work, things like that. Now we don't have a bathtub, so that's not an option. I can't. Well, he could take a shower for me, but that wouldn't help me much. So, but things like making dinner and walking the dogs, things like that is little things that he could do. So, yeah, he's at the door. Bentley. Okay. Sorry, my husband has to go and help our daughter. She has problems with the wheels of a car. So this, welcome to my life. Yeah. I don't know what I was talking about, but puppy brain.
I was just calling you out. You're good. That's nice to know that was happening, because in all that giving, you had the husband giving to you and you receiving. That's awesome.
Kids were good too, but they did it in their own thing, with drawings or cleaning the dishwasher and just little things like that. That means a lot, So that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, great share, Dorit. As you were talking about, even John coming in and saying that he needed to go and help your daughter with something because of the car trouble. That I feel like that's the perfect example right now too of like just beginning where you are, of like sometimes life just happens and things come up and they aren't on your radar. Like you can't predict them or expect them or plan for them. And you just have to kind of like, all right, well, we're here now. What's our next step? And so, yeah, thank you for that real world example of needing to adjust and do what was the priority in the moment. And for him, that's, making sure that your daughter gets back in motion. So I love hearing about your journey. I love hearing about everybody's journey, really, because I feel like I'm on it with you in a way. And I love that we've had people on with us today to share in our journeys as well. If you feel like this conversation was helpful for you at all, we'd love to hear your takeaways, whether you share those privately or feel comfortable to share in the comments now with us. We'd love to hear them. And if you are not already following or connected with us, please make sure and do so, because we love having conversations, and these conversations are not just about us. They're about ways that we can serve you and help you navigate whatever it is that you're going through too. So please remember to connect with us, follow along for more high vibe conversations, and of course, tune in next week for another high vibe conversation with the High Vibe Women with Hearts and me, your host, Shel Shapiro. Tune in next week. Until then,
Wait,
bye for now.
wait. Still,
Oh,
next week is
okay.
Next week is Thanksgiving, isn't it?
You're so right. You're so right.
Yeah,
Time
so
escapes me these
taking a break.
days. So enjoy your break, everyone. We will see you in 2 weeks. And now I'll say bye for now.